Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Stripburger number 20. This is from the mid-90s, I believe. I could not find one date on this issue. And I looked up on the internet. I couldn't really find anything. Though to be honest, I didn't look for long. But Stripburger is a very interesting anthology. It was created by a group of artists in Slovenia. And from the get-go, in 1992, when they published the first issue, they wanted it to be an international exhibit of cartoonists, primarily, mostly Slovenian, but even the early issues would have cartoonists from Europe, sometimes even America, from all over the world. And I think in a pretty early issue, they started being bilingual. Some of the comics were in Slovenian, some were in English. So this issue, some of the comics are in Slovenian, and they give you this thing, the Stripburger connector. This came with it. And this is translations for all the comics that aren't in English. And kind of interesting thing, kind of annoying to read a comic that way, but, they didn't have a lot of money. So they couldn't, it was probably hard to, re-letter all these foreign comics, Slovenian comics into English. We start off with probably that part of the world's most known creators, one of them, Alexander Zagraf. I think he's Serbian or Croatian. I could be totally wrong, but I know he's from around there. And I'm kind of still confused about all those little countries that used to be Yugoslavia. He was published in America a bunch of times, does a lot of Dream Comics, and this is a pretty zany cover. This is, it looks like outsider art. Pretty nuts. These end papers, the inside, front, and back cover are by someone named Martin Briselj. I should say that I'm probably going to butcher almost all the names in here. They're very strange names to me. I don't know how to pronounce them. We have a little Zagraf cartoon here. And this is all in Slovenian, so I can't read it. And here's the contents page. The first story is by Stefano Zatera. And this one's kind of interesting because I guess it's kind of universal for the most part. I think this is an Italian artist. And if you look in the word balloons, it's all pictograms. So it's almost like a universally understood comic. Kind of interesting. And this one I really like. This is an artist named Tomasz Lavrik. And he's from Ljubljana. Unfortunately, they don't give us the countries. They just give us the cities where they're from. And my geography sucks. So if you know where this is from, where Ljubljana, and I'm butchering the name of even the city. So this one requires the translator. And this is called The Cloud Hunter. And, man, I love this guy's art. This is really interesting art. And basically we see this guy, the narrator, and he goes to this bar. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I still got this cold. Oh, man. And he sees this old guy sitting there drinking. And he recognizes that he's a cloud hunter. I guess the cloud hunters have all died off. But we see him at his craft. And he has a big harpoon. He spears a cloud. It takes him up into the sky. Love all of this. All these panels are great. And I guess then they cut open the cloud. And, it bleeds dew. And they extract, I guess, the water or something. But it's supposedly there's treasure in these clouds. So all of them will chop down into the middle of the cloud to find this treasure. This guy's quite a find. And one of the perils of being a cloud hunter is these little creatures. They look like little weird cherubs, demonic cherubs. And they attack the cloud hunters all the time. And we see this one cloud hunter. Here he is getting attacked by those little creatures, and he falls all the way to the ground. I assume he's dead. Man, I really want to see more of this guy. It's really nice stuff. This next one is Jørgen Jansen from Sommergen. So, I'm going to keep saying the cities in case you guys know what country they're from. But this one's weird because it's mostly in English, but every now and then there's some French. And this is about just these people riding a taxi bus. And I believe this might be Africa. And there's this European white guy. There's actually a word for it, Mzungu, which means European white man. And he's on this crazy bus. And as you can see, it's very cartoony. There's anthropomorphic animals involved. Not too thrilled with the art. It doesn't really grab me. And this, I don't know, kind of sloppy lettering everywhere. Not very appealing. This one is by Joy Pepar from Trebnij. I don't know where that's from either. God, my geography sucks. I should have done better research and looked all these up, but I really don't care, to be honest. Well, I do. Actually, I'm curious where are these people from. And this one is called An Anarchist. And we see this punk anarchist dude, and he falls off a building. And basically, he says the only laws that can't be denied are, physics, the laws of physics, i.e. gravity. This next one is Cool, Cool Sweat. And this is Ole Komel Christensen from Copenhagen. I just realized these city names are maybe spelled in Slovenian. So that could be Copenhagen. So he's a Dutch artist. And Copenhagen. Okay, or Swedish. One of those blonde countries. God, I'm an idiot. Okay, but I really like this guy's cartooning. Kind of cute. And there's just about this little guy who falls in love with this barkeep named Carol. I'm sorry, she's a barista. He goes every day and orders 2 espressos just so he can see her. But he doesn't have the nerve to ever ask her out or anything. He goes to the doctor. The doctor says, you're dying. If you have another espresso, you're going to die. And so the next day, he goes to the cafe, and he asks for a cup of herbal tea. Carol says, 2 espressos, right? Isn't that what you mean? So he says, fuck it. And he gets the espresso, and he feels fine. And then all of a sudden, he looks over at Carol, and he realizes that she wasn't beautiful. In fact, she's kind of ugly. And then all of a sudden, now she comes over and just says, my boyfriend just broke up with me. And, I've noticed that you've been making eyes at me. We should go out sometime. And she gives him his phone number and says, think about it. So a month goes by, still hasn't called her. Very odd little story, but very kind of nice cartooning. This next one is Kati Kovacs and Polly Kallio. And this somewhere in Italy, I think. I think they're Italian. This is based loosely on a song by Dr. John, How Come My Dog Don't Bark When You Come Around? I guess that song's written by Prince Partridge. And as you can see already, this is some fun cartooning here. I like this. And we see this dude, and oops, I skipped a page. And it seems like he's happy that his dog barks at everyone who comes to his house. The mailman, his father-in-law, the neighbors' kids. But there's this one dude who comes around, and the dog just is totally passive. The guy says, I was born with the ability to handle animals. He introduces him to his wife. They have dinner. And it seems like the wife doesn't like him. She's kind of scowling at him. But then the next day, the husband gets home and he finds his wife in bed with that guy. And he shoots both of them in the head. It's really good stuff. I don't really like his drawing style. And then he shoots the dog. I guess we're not barking at the guy. And then we see him sitting completely broken on a chair. And as the camera pulls back, we hear another gunshot. So he obviously shot himself. This is kind of a fun little page. This guy named Mong Conquet, and he's from Gent. Wherever Gent is. Is that in France? I don't know. Kind of fun, playful thing. Kind of looks like something Alex Toth would do. Just this goofy guy dancing. He's basically, this little ball turns into this guy. He starts dancing. Another little ball rolls out. And this guy instantly just doesn't like him. Picks up a club, bonks him on the head, and repeatedly until he's no more. And then another ball rolls out and grows and I guess crushes the guy. It doesn't really matter, the plot. It's just kind of playful, fun comic. This next one is called, I believe this translates to pigs. And this is also from Ljubljana. And this is by a guy named Matej Lavransik. God, I feel like such an idiot. I'm an ugly American. Yeah, it's called Pigs. And it's just this pig who's saying like, yep, I spend all my days eating food, shitting, and rolling around in slop. The one problem is the farmer. He's always weighing me. And then one day, he starts running after me with a knife. And he, of course, the farmer kills him. And we see him here with an apple in his mouth. And basically he's just like, oh man, that's the life of a pig. Kind of interesting art. This is Sasha Mihajlovic from Beograd. And I think this is probably from the former Yugoslavia. These two guys walking through this graveyard, they're laughing at all the epithets. There's like, supposedly this graveyard has the funniest epithets on their, on the gravestones. And this ghost comes out from one of them and says, I put a curse on you. In 2 days you will kill each other because you dared to laugh at my epithet. Let me see something in the translation real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Epitaphs. That's what I meant to say. I knew I was saying it wrong. And so these guys are kind of worried now. And then they run into their friend, who's this guy who just flies around. And he says, oh yeah, I love that graveyard. They have the funniest epitaphs anywhere. And it ends really odd. It could be a problem with translation or something, but it just basically ends anticlimactically. One of the characters sees a shooting star, and then the other guys have fallen asleep, and that's it. We don't find out if the curse ever worked or whatever. This next one is Jacob Klemensiek again from Ljubljana. I'll keep saying it until I get it right. And this one is called One from the Road. And it's about this guy who just dresses up like a superhero so he can get into comic conventions. Kind of like just a gag strip. Kind of fun looking, cartooning. So this is the annoying thing. There's a lot of pages of articles about Stripburger traveling to international comic festivals like SPX, Luca, the Luca Comics Festival. It's all in Slovenian. It seems like this will be very interesting to read. Some of the photos, there's an American artist. We see James Kachalka. and Scott McCloud, Joe Sacco, but I don't know what they're saying. There's no translation for it. And then they have lots of reviews of other comics. And they're all kind of like of the alternative variety. I would love to read these. Now we get back to the comics. So now we have Marcel Ruchters from Sittard. I don't know, it sounds like a Swedish name or some kind of Nordic name. And this one is in English. Julie Meets the Proteus. This is very odd. I really like this though. I love the drawing, and I love just how odd it is. We see these two weird pinhead looking people. They've got this little lizard friend. I guess they're playing croquet. He can't stop sneezing. And so he uses one of their skirts to blow his nose. And it's like a gallon of snot comes out. So this pinhead woman chases him with her mallet. And he jumps down into these caves. And there's this really nice skirt drawing here. And then he realizes he's lost and it's cold. And he worries that he might die here. That he'll never be found. But then this little creature comes up, Proteus anguinus. And it's all like yum. We see like a fork and knife. And he sucks all the snot out of this croc's, out of Julie's nose. I guess that's what its favorite food. And then Julie chases him. And I guess the thing leads him out of these caves. And he sees the two pinheads. And then Julie, I guess that little creature comes out of his nostril. And they're so shocked, the two pinhead ladies pass out. And Julie gives us the thumbs up. Really like that one. This one is kind of eh. This is called The Things I Love. And it's just like, I love to ride a bike and to drink champagne. Yada, yada, yada. This is by a person named Ivana Guljasevic from Zagreb. I really like this one. This is Philip Paquet from Antwerp. The Bird is Remembered by Miles the Cat. And it's kind of weird. I don't even like jazz. But this is a pretty interesting story where I'm pretty sure the Paquet just found a book where Miles Davis was talking about Charlie Parker. And it just kind of illustrates it. But I love these cartoons. Charlie Parker, of course, the bird. And Miles the cool cat. And just telling all these anecdotes about Charlie Parker. He was just a genius, but he was also a junkie. And so Miles never knew which Charlie Parker he'd get. Some nights he'd come into the club just too stoned to even play. And sometimes he would just make Miles just fill him with awe. Just how talented he was. And the whole time I just love this drawing. Really good funny animal stuff. And eventually Charlie Parker dies. He ODs. And basically Charlie Parker made it cool in the jazz scene to do heroin. A lot of young jazz bows would started doing heroin, and they were almost as if they thought they could play as good as him if they did heroin. Like that was the secret of being a good jazz man. And it's kind of nice. The one good thing about his death was a lot of the guys stopped doing heroin. It kind of scared a lot of the jazz guys away from it. This one is called, it's untitled. It's by Tadej Vobovnik. Once again from that unpronounceable city, Ljubljana. And this is just about these potatoes. It's kind of dumb, and I really don't like the art either. It looks pretty crude. This is a very interesting art style. This is Matej Kokchen from Koper? Koper. And this one I don't really get. The moral is don't screw around or you'll be screwed at the end. But there's something kind of interesting about this, like, really sloppy but really vigorous inking. It's just like, I can't think of a better word. He's just really like slapping on the ink. Oh, I should at least give you the title of that story. Iconographical Subject of Oppressed Christ. That's what it's called. So this next one is The Weapon by Pero Gantar from Vrenica. And this could be like a mini comic by Max Clotfelter or something. Just kind of this, well, actually Max Clotfelter tells better stories. But, like, this could be Mike Diana or something. Just this guy going around with, like, putting guns in people's faces and demanding money from them. This one, I really like the cartooning. The story's kind of hard to penetrate. I don't know if it's a translation issue. Maciej Bertonel-Selj. God, I butchered that. From Zelesniki. And this is kind of weird. I think it's about... Here, let me get the translation. It says, Jegorovich, former secretary, administrator of a collective farm, when the USSR disintegrated, they basically took over the airport and all the planes. And him and his brother, I think that happened in Russia. I've heard that, like when Russia collapsed, people just swooped in and be like, oh, this is my factory now. This is a state-owned factory that used to make widgets. Now I'm in charge. Whoever had the strength to do it. But like very sloppy cartooning, but kind of really lively. Kind of like it. So they hire all these ex-military pilots who like fought in Afghanistan and stuff, and they don't really know how to do their job. So their planes keep crashing out of the sky. They've got their own little airline, and they just keep fucking up. Planes keep crashing, and eventually they have to go out of business. I don't know why, just this panel, I just think is brilliant. Like it's like Tothian or like Jose Munoz. There's something about it, just the perfect composition. It's so simple. But like when I was reading this comic, I was just stopped for a second. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. It's this plane arcing up into the sky. This next one is Teddy's Cat. And this is by Vinjinin van der Goot. And I'm just going to assume they're from a Nordic country. Though the city looks like it's French. So I could be wrong. So we see this guy, Teddy. He's basically whining because nobody invites him to parties. There's all these parties happening. His cat leaves him. He says, oh, life's too short to spend the evening with such a bore. And he goes to a cat party. Here we see the cat party. And they're all like getting drunk on milk. And dancing and smoking cigarettes. And I guess Teddy's cat drinks too much milk and starts puking. So they kick him out of the party. And Teddy shows up and takes him home. He says cats shouldn't smoke cigarettes and drink milk. It's, it's bad for him. This one is just, I don't get this one at all. This is by Rock Sibera, also from Ljubljana. And kind of some interesting designs here. But I don't know, it's just kind of like something from a mini comic, someone's first comic or something. I'm going to try to find the translation here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's in English, god damn it. Yeah, it's pretty hard to follow. So maybe he translated it himself badly. This guy's bed starts swallowing him at midnight. And then I really don't get what happens here. This one is by Joshua Menjeven from Vancouver. I know that city. And we see this woman, she's doing her laundry. This guy's reading a magazine. He looks over and he sees that all of her clothes are drenched in blood. She drops a knife out of her bag that's covered in blood, and her sneakers are covered in blood. So this guy's just, his imagination's running overtime. And then it turns out that she works at this meat market. Her co-worker comes to pick her up. And really do not like this comic at all. It's useless. Don't like the art very much. And it's such a, like one of those dumb little kind of autobio type stories. It's just like, who cares? I really like this cartooning. This is, let's see, Marko Kosiper from Zelesniki. And this one isn't much of a, it's not really a story. It just says, a grandmother got a heart attack. A dad planted an apple tree in the garden. And that's it. But man, I love this panel here. It's really great. It's almost like Bill Elder. And, I guess the name of that comic is just called A Traditional One. Next is The Veteran. This is an English cartoonist named Luke Canavan. And we see this veteran come home, but this is the veteran. Look at him. He's just a pistol head. He's got knife arms, bayonet arms. And of course, he's not accepted. Women are fainting. He sees a woman getting mugged. He kills the assailants. She takes him home for a nice meal. She feeds him bullets. And then when he burps and hiccups, he accidentally shoots the lady. And so, of course, he walks away, crestfallen, and it looks like he's walking back to war. He just doesn't belong in the civilian world anymore. So he's like, well, I guess I'll re-enlist. Really, I kind of like this one. This is really good. This one's really interesting. This is a guy from Brussels, David van der Meulen. Lucas Forehead. He's a 46-year-old guy. There's some words I can't say here. He's this racist. And he has his dog, and he likes for his dog to poop on black people's doorsteps. And I really like this crazy art style. Look at it. It's like expressionistic or something. I don't know if that's the word, but whatever it is, it's like, look at, I love this panel. These two soccer players. It's almost just like the art is just smudged on really quick, but sometimes the faces are great. So I guess he owns all these books from a famous fascist from the 30s. To him, those were the good old days. He wishes he could live back then. Just a little character study. Next, we have a guy who's just named Cyril from Ravenna. Is that Ravenna? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this one. This is, I'll try to find the translation. A Rocket, it's called. And we see this guy in a rocket. He's flying through space. He sees another rocket approach, or spaceship, and there's a woman inside. And I guess they crash because he's staring at her breasts so much. It's pretty dumb. I don't know. I'm not a fan of this guy. This person. And there's the end papers by that same guy. And we have a back cover by Sasha Mihajlovic. Pretty nice. I like this a lot. It looks like David Collier or something. But better. So there you guys, there you have it, guys. Stripburger number 20. I think this is the only issue I have. They have other titles for some of their issues would just be called War Burger or Triple X Burger, and they'd have a theme like a sex issue. You know, obviously War Burger was all about war. So maybe somewhere in my collection, I don't know where it is. I have another one of these, but as far as I know, this is the only one I have, and a lot of interesting stuff. Definitely worth keeping, I think, just for a handful. Some of these stories, man, I love some of the artists in here, and chances are I'm never going to see them again. So I'm definitely holding on to this. Some of them, like in most anthologies, are pretty crappy. But I think the good outweighs the bad, at least art-wise. For the most part, the stories are all kind of but there's some outstanding artists in here that I would love to see more of. So that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you liked it, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.